The movers were carrying Lily's bed down the stairs when I turned into the driveway. Her purple butterfly sheets still clung to the mattress like fragile ghost wings, fluttering with each careful step they took. My mother-in-law, Margaret, stood on the porch like a field general, pearl necklace glinting in the late afternoon sun, pointing directions with the crisp authority of someone who had already won. I sat in the car through 3 slow, hammering heartbeats, watching strangers dismantle the only sanctuary my daughter had ever known. Before the truth landed, Margaret had timed this. She had waited for the 1 hour each week she could count on me being gone. The cemetery visit that swallowed whole afternoons. "Oh good, you're home," she said as I climbed the path, not even pretending surprise or shame. "We've made excellent progress. Jason's baby will need this room by Christmas. I thought it best we start fresh." I stopped at the bottom of the porch steps, still clutching the small bunch of daisies I had forgotten to leave on Lily's grave. "Jason's baby. Due December 15th, she announced, supervising while 2 men wrestled Lily's bookshelf toward the truck. "Finally, a grandchild to carry on the family name. We're turning this into a proper nursery. None of that purple princess nonsense." The phrase "purple princess nonsense" struck like open-handed slaps. Lily had chosen every single color, every sticker, every hanging butterfly during the single good month. The cancer had briefly loosened its grip, the only month she had been allowed to dream about a future she would never live to see. "Where's my husband?" My voice came out steady. Too steady. "Thomas is at work. Obviously someone has to pay for all this." She waved dismissively toward the movers. "I told him I'd handle everything. No need to burden you with details during your grief." I walked past her into the house and pulled out my phone. The living room looked like a war zone. Boxes marked donate and trash lined the walls. Lily's drawings, the ones she made during endless chemo afternoons, were stacked carelessly near the front door like yesterday's newspapers. "Careful with those," I called as a mover reached for them. "It's just childish scribbles, Veronica," Margaret said, following me inside. "We need to focus on the future now, not cling to the past." I turned and really looked at her for the first time since I'd arrived. New suit, expensive cut, wedding ring upgraded, the diamond noticeably larger than the one I remembered from last Christmas. "When did Jason tell you about the baby?" "Last month. He and Jennifer have been trying for ages." She smiled, that thin, satisfied smile that always explained why Thomas came home exhausted after family dinners. "Of course they're not married yet, but that's just a formality. Not like your situation with Thomas." "Our situation? Well, you can hardly expect him to stay in this mausoleum forever." She gestured around the house. "A man needs living children, Veronica. Not shrines to the dead." My phone buzzed. "Thomas, texting from work. Hope the cemetery visit was healing. Love you." "He doesn't know, does he?" I asked, watching her face. "Men don't understand these things. They need us to make the hard decisions." She picked up one of Lily's stuffed animals. Mr. Peanuts, the worn gray elephant Lily had slept with every single night, even in the hospital, even on the very last night. "This can go to charity. Some living child might enjoy it." I took Mr. Peanuts from her hands. "Did Jason happen to mention anything about his medical history when he shared this wonderful news?" She frowned. "What medical history? He's perfectly healthy. Unlike..." She stopped, but we both heard the rest. "Unlike Lily. The vasectomy he got 3 years ago, when he and Melissa decided they didn't want children. Thomas went with him for the procedure. They turned it into a golf weekend to cover the recovery." "That's ridiculous." "Jennifer's ultrasound. Oh, I'm sure Jennifer is pregnant." I scrolled through my phone, opened the family group chat. "Just interesting timing, don't you think? Jason divorces Melissa, starts dating Jennifer immediately, and suddenly, miracle baby." Margaret's composure cracked, just a hairline fracture. "Are you implying..." "I'm not implying anything." I opened another app. "But since you're so invested in the future, let's talk housing arrangements. You are aware this house is in my name, correct?" "The family home should stay in the family," she said stiffly. "It is in the family. My family. My grandmother left it to me. Thomas moved in after we married. The deed never changed. I turned the phone so she could see the property records. So while I appreciate your initiative in preparing Jason for fatherhood, he'll need to find his own nursery. This is Thomas's home. This is my home. Thomas lives here because I love him and we're married. But that doesn't give you the right to dismantle my daughter's room while I'm visiting her grave. A mover appeared in the doorway. Ma'am, the lady said to ask about the toy chest. It's heavy, gonna need both of us. Put everything back, I said. Everything goes back exactly where it was. Now, wait a minute, Margaret began. No, you wait. I stepped closer, close enough to smell the same expensive perfume she had worn to Lily's funeral. Do you know what I was doing at the cemetery today? I was telling my 6-year-old daughter about her cousins, about how Uncle Jason might have a baby soon, about how she would have loved being the big cousin, teaching them about butterflies and rainbows and glitter and all the things that made her happy. I was explaining to a headstone why Grandma Margaret never visits, why Uncle Jason stopped coming to the hospital after the diagnosis, why the only family photos from last year are from before she got sick, because you said she looked unfortunate with no hair. Margaret's face had gone pale beneath the flawless makeup. But sure, I continued, let's talk about the future. Let's talk about Jason's miracle baby with a woman he's known for 8 months. Let's talk about how eager you were to erase my daughter before the grass even grew over her grave. I was trying to help, she burst out. This house is a tomb. You and Thomas drift around like ghosts. He needs to move on. Start fresh. Men weren't meant to grieve forever. He's grieving his child. She wasn't his blood. The words dropped like a stone through glass. She looked like she wanted to swallow them back the second they left her mouth. The silence was sudden and total. Even the movers froze. What did you just say? I asked quietly. I didn't mean Lily wasn't his blood. I nodded slowly. That's what this is really about. She was my daughter from my first marriage, so she doesn't count. She was never really a Harrington. That's exactly what you mean. I gave a short, bitter laugh. God, it all makes sense now. The smaller Christmas gifts, the family photos where she was always edged to the side. The way you introduced her as Thomas's stepdaughter instead of his daughter. Biology matters, she said defensively. Jason's baby will carry on the family name, the family blood. That's important. You know what else is important? I opened another app on my phone. Security cameras. Did you notice them when you arrived? We installed them everywhere after Lily got sick. She was terrified someone would break in while she was too weak to run. Margaret's eyes flicked to the corners of the room, finally seeing the small black lenses. Everything is recorded. Everything is backed up to the cloud. I smiled without warmth. Including this conversation. Including you admitting you planned this for when I'd be at the cemetery. Including you calling my dead daughter's room purple princess nonsense. You're being dramatic. No, I'm being practical, just like you. I turned to the movers. Gentlemen, please put everything back exactly as it was. I have photos of the room if you need reference. Mrs. Harrington will be leaving now. I'm not going anywhere until Thomas is about to get a very interesting phone call. I was already dialing, attaching the security footage link. Let's see what he thinks about his mother dismantling his daughter's room. Why? Margaret, his daughter, because that's what she was, regardless of blood. The phone rang once. Hey honey, how was the cemetery? Eventful, I said, never breaking eye contact with Margaret. Your mother's here. She has some interesting news about Jason. And a nursery? What? Mom's at the house? I thought she was... He stopped. Wait, what about a nursery? I'll send you the footage. You might want to sit down first. I watched Margaret's face cycle. Anger, embarrassment, fear. Veronica, what's going on? Thomas's voice sharpened. Your mother decided to clean out Lily's room for Jason's baby while I was at the cemetery. Silence. Then, she what? I'm handling it, I said. But you might want to come home, and maybe call Jason on the way. Ask him about that vasectomy reversal he must have gotten. I'm leaving now. His voice had gone cold in a way I rarely heard. Mom, if you're listening, don't move. Don't touch anything else. Don't speak. I put the phone on speaker. Thomas, I was trying to help. I said don't speak. The roar cracked through the room. My daughter has been dead for 4 months. 4 months. And you're gutting her room? What is wrong with you? She needs to move on. I need to move on. That's my little girl's room, he said, voice breaking. That's where I read her bedtime stories. That's where she told me she loved me for the last time. That's where... He stopped, breathing hard. 20 minutes. I'll be there in 20. He hung up. Margaret stood frozen, her perfect mask finally shattered. He didn't mean... Yes, he did. I sank onto the couch, suddenly exhausted beyond words. You know the worst part? Lily loved you. Even when you made it painfully clear she wasn't really family, she loved you. She made you a card for your last birthday. Purple construction paper, glitter everywhere. She was so weak from chemo she could barely hold the glue stick, but she insisted on making Grandma Margaret a special card. Margaret glanced toward the boxes labeled trash. Something flickered across her face. She walked over without a word and began searching. Third box. She pulled it out. The purple card, shaky handwriting, half a bottle of glitter exploded across it. She read aloud, voice thin. To Grandma Margaret, thank you for being in our family. Love, Lily. Her hands trembled. She made you part of our family, I said quietly. Even though you never made her part of yours. The movers finished returning the last pieces. Thomas's car screeched into the driveway. He burst through the door still in his work clothes, face carved from controlled fury. Mom, deadly quiet, get out. Thomas, if you just listen. I'm done listening. I'm done with your subtle digs about Lily not being real family. I'm done with your obsession with biological grandchildren. He walked to Lily's doorway and touched the frame like it was fragile. She was my daughter in every way that mattered. She was my daughter. I know you loved her, but... No buts. He spun. She called me Daddy. She ran to me with nightmares. I held her hand through every treatment, every needle, every scan. I was there when she took her last breath. Don't you dare tell me she wasn't my real daughter. Margaret clutched the purple card to her chest. I just wanted you to have a future. My future died 4 months ago, Thomas said, voice breaking. Part of it anyway. The part where I got to watch her grow up, graduate, get married, have kids of her own. That future is gone. He walked to the front door and held it open. Jason's baby can have their own room, in Jason's house, with Jason's money. Leave now, and if you ever touch anything in this house again without permission, you will never see us again. You don't mean that. Try me, steal. Veronica is my wife. This is her house. Lily was our daughter. You disrespected all 3 of those facts today. Margaret looked between us, perhaps finally seeing what she had broken. She walked to the door, still holding the card. The card stays, I said. She handed it to Thomas. He took it like it was made of glass. Without another word, she left, expensive heels clicking down the walk. Thomas and I stood in the sudden quiet, surrounded by half-returned furniture and cardboard boxes. He walked slowly into Lily's room. I'm sorry, he whispered. I should have known she'd do something like this. You couldn't have, she's been hinting. Moving on, Jason's girlfriend, fresh starts. I just never thought she'd be this cruel. What about Jason's baby? I asked gently. Thomas gave a bitter laugh. There is no vasectomy reversal. I golf with him every month. He's terrified of being a father. Always has been. If Jennifer's pregnant, it's not his, your mother's in for an interesting Christmas. Then she can spend it with Jason and his miracle baby. We won't be there. He pulled me into his arms, face buried in my hair. I'm so sorry, Ver. She had no right. We spent the rest of the evening putting Lily's room back together. Every stuffed animal, every drawing, every book. Thomas found the butterfly mobile she'd made in art therapy and re-hung it by the window. As the sun set, the room filled with soft purple light. We sat together on her bed. The air still carried the faint ghost of strawberry shampoo and vanilla lotion. The sweet smell of a childhood that ended too soon. She would have been a great big cousin, Thomas said quietly. The best, I agreed. She would have taught them everything about butterflies and rainbows, and how to make the perfect glitter card. Even for grandmothers who didn't deserve them. He smiled through tears. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. This is Jennifer, Jason's girlfriend. Could we talk? I think there's something you should know about the baby. I showed Thomas. He sighed, suddenly looking every one of his 35 years. Tomorrow, he said. We'll deal with that tomorrow. Tonight we sat in our daughter's room, surrounded by purple walls and butterfly dreams, holding each other in the fragile space between grief and whatever comes after. Outside, Margaret's car was long gone, but Lily's purple card rested on the dresser, still shedding glitter like fairy dust, quiet proof of a little girl who loved far more generously than she was ever loved in return. The room would stay exactly as it was, not a shrine, a promise, a space held sacred in a house that was ours, in a family we chose, for a daughter who was real in every single way that mattered. And if Margaret ever truly understood that, it would be a miracle far greater than any suspicious pregnancy or forced fresh start could ever hope to be.